Yo, check it, there was this dude named Maji, rollin' with the nickname Long Mai. Son of a merchant, lookin' fly as ever, smooth with the style, always walkin' with that swag. Ever since he was a kid, he had mad charisma, lovin' the tunes, the beats, and rockin' the stage with the opera squad. My man was out there in the spotlight, dressed as a lady, lookin' so fine that they called him the handsome dude. Yeah, that's right, he was killin' the game by 14, already a scholar. Famous in his hood. But yo, life switched up. His old man, tired and done with the grind, hit him with the truth. Son, these books ain't gonna fill your belly or keep you warm. It's time to take over the family biz. So, Maji started learning the hustle, trade deals, the whole 9 yards. Now, here's where it gets wild. Maji sets sail overseas for some trade moves, but boom, a crazy storm hits, ship blown away. Days and nights later, they land in this city, but hold up, everyone there looked mad weird. So weird, in fact, they thought Maji was a freaking monster. Folks screaming and dipping out, running like they saw a ghost. At first, Maji's freaked out too, but when he figured out they were scared of him, he was like, "Eight, let's use this." Anytime he saw people eating, he'd roll up, they'd run. And he'd snag their food like a boss. After a while, he dips into the villages, where folks looked a bit more normal, but still raggedy like beggars. Dude chills under a tree, and they don't wanna get close, just eyeing him from a distance. Eventually, they figure out he ain't dangerous, so they come through, start chatting. The language is kinda off, but Maji picks up half of what they're saying. They throw down some food and drinks for him, and he's like, "Yo, why y'all so scared of me?" They're like, "Yo, we heard from our granddads, way out west, 26,000 miles away. There's a place called China. And the people there? They look straight up bizarre. But we ain't believe it till we saw you, bro." Maji asks why they're so broke, and they're like, "Fame, it ain't about smarts here, it's about looks. The finest people get the top jobs in the palace, and even the second-tier folks land government gigs. The rest of us? We get by on crumbs, hoping some rich folk toss us something. Our parents didn't even wanna keep us 'cause we ugly, but they had to keep the family line going, you feel?" Maji's like, "What's this place called, though?" They hit him with "This is the kingdom of the Rakshasas, and the capital's 30 miles north." Next morning, Maji's squad rolls out to the city. The walls are black as night, made of stone, towers reaching up nearly 100 feet. Roofs ain't tiled like back home, they got this red stone, grinding it down like it's freaking cinnabar. Just as they roll in, the palace crew's leaving, and they spot this fly carriage. The locals point and say, "That's the Prime Minister." Dude's ears are flipped backward, rockin' 3 nostrils, and his eyelashes droop down like curtains. Then, a whole line of officials ride out on horses, uglier the higher their rank. The lower you go, the less freaky they look. Later, Maji's heading back home, but the streets are wildin'. People see him and lose their minds, shouting, running around like they saw a monster. The villagers finally calm him down, and Maji heads back to chill. Word spreads fast, an alien in the village. The fancy folks wanna see for themselves, so they send out invites. But whenever Maji pulls up, the hosts slam the door, peeking at him through the cracks, whispering. Not a single one dares let him in all day. The villagers are like, "Yo, there's this one guy, the old spear guard, he's been all over, seen some stuff. He probably won't freak out." Maji rolls up to the spear guard's crib, and the dude's chillin', looking like he's 80 or 90, with eyes popping out and a beard like a porcupine. He's stoked to meet Maji, treats him like royalty. Over drinks, spear guard's like, "Back in my day, I did mad diplomatic missions for the king, but I never hit China. Now I'm over 120, and you're my first real link with that place. I gotta tell the king about this." Next day, Spearguard heads to the palace to big up Maji to the king. But some ministers got spooked by how Maji looked, saying it might freak out the king, so no audience for Maji. Spearguard comes back like, "Man, I tried. Sorry, bro." So, a long while passes, and Maji's getting lit with the Spearguard, sipping that good stuff. They get straight up drunk, and Maji grabs a sword, starts swinging it around, smears coal on his face, and boom, he's rocking a Zhang Fei vibe. The Spearguard's hyped, like, "Yo, that's fire. You gotta go see the Prime Minister looking like Zhang Fei, and trust me, he'll give you mad respect." Riches? No problem. But Maji's like, "Nah, man, this is just for fun. I'm not tryna switch up my face just to chase fame and fortune." But the Spearguard keeps pushing him, so Maji's like, fine." They throw a big feast, and invite all the big-time officials. Maji gets his face painted, waiting for the moment. Soon enough, the top dogs roll in, and Spearguard's like, "Yo, Maji, it's time to shine." Maji steps out, and the officials are shook. They're like, "Whoa, what happened? Dude was ugly before, now he's looking sharp." They start drinking with him, having a blast. Maji busts out some moves, spinning and singing that he Yang style, and everyone in the spot is going wild. Next day, all these officials are writing to the king, putting Maji's name out there. The king's feeling it, so he sends a messenger to bring Maji through. When they meet, the king's like, "Yo, tell me about how y'all run China." Maji breaks it all down, and the king's loving it. Throws a royal feast in his honor. In the middle of the party, the king goes, "I heard you can drop some smooth tunes. Can you play something for me?" Maji jumps up, starts dancing and singing, even wraps his head in white silk like a performer, hitting them with some chill melodies. The king is vibbing hard, and right then, makes Maji a lower minister. Maji's now a regular at the king's private parties, treated like a straight-up VIP. But over time, the officials start catching on to Maji's disguise. Everywhere he goes, people are whispering, not really tryna get close. Maji's feeling the isolation, gets all nervous, and decides it's time to dip. He puts in a request to retire, but the king's not having it. So Maji asks for a little break, and the king grants him 3 months. Maji loads up a cart with gold and jewels, heads back to the village. The people welcome him like royalty, bowing and all that. He spreads the wealth, hooking up his old homies, and the whole village goes nuts with joy. They're like, "Yo, you hooked us up big time. Tomorrow we're hitting the sea market, we might score some treasures to bring back to you." Maji's like, "Hold up, what's the sea market?" They tell him, "It's this wild marketplace out on the ocean where Murphic trade treasures, and folks from 12 different countries come through. It's a crazy scene, clouds block out the sun, and the waves get wild sometimes. Rich people don't want to risk their lives, so they send us to grab the goods. The next sea market's coming up soon." Maji asks how they know when the sea market's poppin'. They say, "Whenever you see redbirds fleeing over the water, the sea market shows up 7 days later." He asks when they're rolling out, and says he's down to go. The villagers try to warn him, like, "Yo, you're too important for this." But Maji's laughing, "Man, I'm a trader who crossed the seas. I'm not scared of a few waves." Soon enough, folks come through dropping off cash, trusting Maji to cop some treasures for them. He and the villagers load up the boat, a sleek ride that fits dozens of people. Flat bottom, high rails, and 10 rowers pushing through the water like it's nothing. Waves splashing, boat fleeing like an arrow. 3 days later, they roll up to this spot where the sea and clouds are wavy, and the towers are stacked high. Boats packed together, trodden like crazy, looking like ants swarmin'. They dock at the city, and the walls are straight massive, bricks as tall as people. Towers reach up to the clouds. They roll into the city, and the market's lit treasures everywhere, gleaming bright, stuff you can't find anywhere else in the world. Just then, this young dude comes riding through on a horse, and everyone bounces out of his way. They're whispering, "That's the third prince from the Eastern Sea." The prince spots Maji and says, "That guy's not from around here." His crew pulls up on Maji, asking where he's from. Maji bows and tells them everything, his name, his roots, all that. The prince is hyped, like, "Yo, it's an honor to meet you. Let's roll out together." So, they ride side by side, leaving the west side of the city, off to see what's next. Yo, they just hit the shore of the island, and the horses started wildin', jumping straight into the water. Maji freaks out, yelling, panicked like never before. But then, boom, the sea splits apart like two massive walls rising up on either side. Not long after, Maji spots a palace, decked out in tortoise-shell beams, with fish scales for roof tiles. The walls shine so bright, you could see your own reflection in them, straight up blinding. Maji hops off the horse, bows, and steps into the palace. He looks up and sees the Dragon King chilling on his throne. The prince speaks up, "Yo, I was out at the market, and I bumped into this wise man from China. I had to bring him to meet the big boss." Maji steps forward, bows deep, showing respect. The Dragon King's like, "Maji, you're a man of talent, no doubt your words can rival the greats like Kuyuan and Song Yu. I'd love for you to drop a piece on the sea market, something to show the magic of this place. Let your pen spill jewels and silk." Maji, humbled, bows again and accepts the challenge. They bring him a crystal inkwell, a dragon hairbrush, and paper so white it's like fresh snow. The ink smells sweeter than orchids. Maji starts writing, and soon enough, he's penned over 1,000 words. The Dragon King's impressed, like, "Yo, Maji, your talent shines bright, you've brought honor to the underwater kingdom." The Dragon King calls a meeting of all the dragon tribes at the Palace of Rainbow Clouds. Drinks start flowing, and after a few rounds, the Dragon King raises a cup to Maji. He's like, "I got a beloved daughter who still hasn't found the right match. What do you think, Maji? You down to be my son-in-law?" Maji jumps out of his seat, feeling grateful but nervous, and respectfully agrees. The Dragon King whispers something to his crew, and soon, the Dragon Princess is brought out by palace ladies. The sound of her jade bracelets chimed like a melody, and as she stepped forward, music suddenly filled the air. After the formalities, Maji sneaks a look, and yo, the Dragon Princess is a straight-up goddess. Later, the banquet wraps up, and a couple of palace girls, with their hair done in double buns, lead Maji to a side palace. Inside, the princess waits, all dolled up, sitting on a coral bed covered in gold, pearls, and gemstones. The bed's drapes are adorned with giant pearls, and the blankets are soft and smell like fresh flowers. By dawn, young palace girls rush in to serve them, lining up all around. Maji gets up, walks out quick, and heads to the morning audience to thank the Dragon King. Maji's officially made a prince consort, and his poem spreads across the seas. Soon, Dragon Kings from all over send messengers with invitations, trin out to each other with lavish feasts for the new prince. Maji's now rockin' royal threads, riding a blue dragon with no horns, rolling deep with his entourage. In front, people clear the way, and behind, soldiers on horseback carry bows and silver-tipped spears, gleaming in the light, crowding the streets. As they ride, folks play the zither and flute, the whole procession straight out of a dream. It only took 3 days for Maji to tour all the seas, and his name, Ma Long Mai, echoed through the ocean kingdoms. In the Dragon Palace, There's this massive jade tree, so thick you'd need a few people to wrap around it. The trunk's clear like white glass, with a faint yellow core, slender as an arm. The leaves, jade green and thick as a coin, droop down, casting heavy shade. Magi and the Dragon Princess often chill under this tree, singing and writing poetry. The tree's covered in flowers that look like gardenias, and when a petal falls, it rings like gold and jade hid in each other. When you pick up a petal, it's carved like red agate, shining bright and looking mad precious. The Dragon Palace is always vippin' with some wild birds, fleein' and with golden feathers and long tails that trail behind them. Their song is like something played on jade instruments, clear, sad, but so beautiful it hits deep. Whenever Magi hears these birds sing, he starts thinking of home. One day, he tells the Dragon Princess, "I've been gone for 3 years, far from my folks. Every time I think of them, I'm hit with tears. Can you come back with me?" The Dragon Princess sighs, "The path between our worlds is blocked. I can't leave with you. But I also can't bear to keep you from your parents, from the love and duty you owe them. Let me think on it." Tears start rolling down Magi's face, and the Dragon Princess sighs, "Looks like there's no way to have it all." The next day, Magi returns, and the Dragon King's like, "I hear you're homesick. How about heading back tomorrow morning?" Magi bows and thanks him, saying, "I've been treated with such kindness here, I'll never forget it. Let me return home for now, and I'll find a way to come back." That night, the Dragon Princess throws a farewell party. Magi tries to set a date for their reunion, but she says, "Our time has come to an end." Magi's heart breaks. The princess continues, "You need to take care of your parents, that's your true loyalty. Life's meetings and partings are like a day and a night, why cry like children? From now on, I'll stay true to you, and you to me. Even if we're apart, we're still one, like real soulmates. We don't need to be together every day to make it last. If either of us breaks this vow, the marriage will be cursed. Oh, by the way, since we got hitched, I think I'm expectin'. Could you pick a name for our child?" Magi shook but says, "If it's a girl, call her Long Gong. If it's a boy, name him Fahai." The Dragon Princess asks Magi to leave a keepsake, so he hands her a pair of red jade lotus flowers he got back in the Rakshasa kingdom. She takes them, and says, "In 3 years, on the 8th of April, come to the southern island, and I'll bring our child to meet you." She gives him a bag made of fish skin, packed with jewels, and tells him, "Keep this safe, this treasure will take care of your family for generations." At dawn, the Dragon King throws a farewell banquet, loading Magi up with gifts. Magi bows, says his goodbyes, and leaves the palace. The Dragon Princess rides a white ram carriage, taking him to the shore. Magi jumps off his horse, and the princess tells him, "Take care." Then she heads back, and the sea closes behind her. Magi watches until she's gone, then returns home. After Magi set sail and dipped, everyone thought he was gone for good, like lost to the waves. But when he rolled back home, his fame was shook. Thankfully, his parents were still alive, but his wife? Yeah, she'd already remarried. That's when it hit him. Dragon Princess knew this would go down when she told him to stay true. His dad tried to set him up with someone new, but Magi wasn't feeling it. Instead, he took a maid as his concubine. But through it all, Magi never forgot that 3-year promise. When the time came, he sailed to the southern island, and there he saw 2 kids floating on the water, splashing, giggling, not moving or sinking. Magi got closer and reached for them. One kid laughed, grabbing his arm, jumping into his embrace. The other kid? Crying loud, like, "Why didn't you grab me first?" Magi scooped them both onto the shore. He looked closer, One boy, one girl, both looking real cute. They had flower crowns with red jade lotus flowers on them, just like the ones he gave Dragon Princess. On their backs, there was a fancy pouch. Inside, a letter. It read, "Hope your parents are well. 3 quick years have passed, and the dust of the world has separated us for good. A shallow sea keeps us apart, and even news can't cross the waves. I miss you so much it haunts my dreams. I watch the horizon, but it just makes the pain deeper. What can I do, standing by the endless blue sea, filled with regret? Even Chang single quotees still lonely up in the Moon Palace, and Zhenu still gazes across the Milky Way. Who am I to think we could have stayed together forever? And yet, somehow, the thought makes me smile. 2 months after we parted, I gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. They're growing fast now, babbling and catching on to our ways. They're already grabbing dates and pears to eat, and can live just fine without me. So, I'm sending them to you with their flower crowns, marked with the red jade lotus. When you hold them close, it'll be like I'm with you too. I heard you've stayed true to our vows, and that brings me peace. I'll never change my heart, never, even to the end. The stuff in my dressing box? No longer perfumed oils or powders. I don't even bother with makeup anymore. You're out there, like a wanderer, and I'm here, holding down an empty house. Even though we're apart, aren't we still bound together like a true couple? It's just, I feel a bit sad your parents have grandkids but no daughter-in-law. If they pass before we meet, it'll be a shame. But a year from now, when your mother's gone, I'll come to her grave to pay my respects. After that, Long Gong will live in peace, and Fahai will live forever. Maybe there's still a way for us to meet again. Stay safe, and let these words be the last between us." Maji read the letter over and over, tears rolling down his face. His kids hugged him tight, saying, "Let's go home, Daddy." That just broke him even more. He stroked their hair and whispered, "Do you know where home is?" But the kids just kept crying, begging to go back. Maji looked out at the endless sea, stretching to the horizon, no sign of the Dragon Princess. The waves? Just smoke and mist, no path back. With a heavy heart, he carried his kids onto the boat and headed back home. Maji knew his mother didn't have long to live, so he prepped everything for her funeral, clothes, items, the works. He even planted over 100 pine and cypress trees at her burial ground. A year later, his mother passed. When the hearse reached the grave, everyone was shocked to see a woman, dressed in mourning clothes, standing by the tomb. They were trying to figure out who she was when suddenly a wild wind kicked up, thunder booming, rain pouring down, and in the blink of an eye, she was gone. The trees that had been withering? Suddenly, they were full of life again. Fahai, the son, grew up missing his mom. One day, he just jumped into the sea, and didn't come back for days. But when he did, he seemed fine. As for Long Gong, the daughter, she'd often lock herself in her room, trying for her mother. Then, one day, the skies darkened suddenly, and boom, the Dragon Princess appeared, telling Long Gong, "You're gonna start your own family soon." So why all the tears? She gave her a coral tree 8 feet tall, a pouch of dragon brain incense, 100 pearls, and a set of gold inlaid boxes for her dowry. Maji heard her voice, rushed into the room, grabbing her hand, choking up with tears. But just then, a loud clap of thunder shook the house, and the Dragon Princess was gone without a trace.